Welcome to modules 11 and 12, vehicle combat, where we will look at fighting in and around the vehicle. Now let me give some context here. Fighting in and around the vehicle means I am inside the vehicle, I am in control of the vehicle. In other words, I've got my hands on the steering wheel, I've got my seatbelt buckled on, I am in full control of the vehicle, and I am now being attacked, either by people on foot or by another vehicle or vehicles pushing me off the road, and then the bad guys jumping out and they're attacking me whilst I'm still in the vehicle. That's a different scenario than walking towards your vehicle and then being overpowered by a group of people, cuffed, blindfolded, and then pushed into your vehicle and then driven off with. Okay. That scenario in South Africa we refer to as a kidnapping. It's where people actively kidnap you while you are outside your vehicle, close to your vehicle, and they may or may not put you in your own vehicle, they may put you in another vehicle. What we are looking at here is fighting in and around your own vehicle, the vehicle that you are in control of. So first off, we will be looking at fighting inside the vehicle. And then secondly, in the next module, we'll be looking at fighting around the vehicle. Same thing, or one continuous thing, but two different arenas. So what do we look at when we look at vehicle combat or defending myself in and around my vehicle? The scenario is, as we in South Africa know it, is we call that a hijacking as well. It's not just it's not a question of they stop and then they take you away. It's a question of they attack you whilst you are in your vehicle, and we call that a hijacking in South Africa. And if you look at hijacking stats in South Africa, you will see the stats on that. So during this scenario, there are a couple of phases, and it's important to look at these phases. First of all, keep in mind that you are in control of your vehicle, either by being seated on the right-hand side, the left-hand side, irrespective of which country you are, but you have your hands on your steering wheel. You have your safety belt strapped in, you have your pistol either in appendix or 3 o'clock or wherever you carry it, and you are now being attacked. So if we break this down into phases, the first phase will be you becoming aware of something is wrong around you. Something is off. There's a vehicle closing in on you. There are more than one vehicles closing in on you. There's bad behavior. Somebody's closing in on you. Things are going wrong. At this stage, I want you to refer back to Module 1. If you don't know this off by heart, refer back to Module 1 and look at the Cooper's Color Code and look at the OODA loop. Because the Cooper's Color Code and layered defense will now tell me if I'm driving normally and everybody behaves and stay in their lanes, then all is fine. Then I have to be in a state of yellow just to be alert of what's happening around me. Maybe a heightened yellow, maybe touching on orange, depending on which country you drive. In South Africa, you have to drive on orange at all time. But if people start closing in on me, or vehicles start closing in on me, then I need to up that yellow to a high orange. And then I need to know things are going wrong. Now, depending on which country you are in and what your laws are, so please check with your own country where you are watching this from. Check the laws in your own country. Get legal advice if you don't know. It may differ from state to state. It may differ from country to country. It may differ from all over. But in South Africa, if the attack is imminent or it has already begun, I can start defending myself. Now, if people start pushing in on me, that sort of looks like an attack to me. I can say that the status quo in South Africa is of such high percentage stakes that I can now start taking action. This does not mean that I can take my pistol and shoot at cars. I cannot do that because they haven't physically endangered me. But can I draw my pistol At that stage, yes, I can draw my pistol. So while I'm there, I can start drawing my pistol. I don't have to wait for the shots to be incoming. I can draw my pistol. Okay, I can draw my pistol while I'm driving with my one hand. What does that give me? It gives me one up on the bad guys should this situation now go very bad. Should this thing now go from red into the black, then I've already got my pistol in my hand. Then I don't have to draw first. So by being alert and aware during phase one of this, that will depend or determine what will my outcome be. Okay. During phase one, while people are still closing in, what do I have? I have my own big weapon. This whole piece of steel is my weapon at that stage. It's driving forward at X amount of kilometers or miles per hour. And there's a lot of inertia behind it. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of weight behind this thing. And this is the best weapon I have at that stage because it's still moving. I can push people out of the way. I can do whatever. What is the issue here? The issue here is that you will have to actually give yourself permission to do that. Why? From the date that you started driving your car, you were told to not be in an accident. And every single day that you drive this thing, you drive as to not be in an accident. Now suddenly you think you will make an accident just out of nothing. You will cause an accident. You will drive into somebody. No, it's not going to work like that. If you don't set your mind up correctly, if you don't form the correct template in your brain, then when the shit hits the fan, you will not drive into another vehicle. Recently, there was a case in Australia where the guy stole a vehicle, a bakkie in South Africa, a pickup truck in the United States, a ute in Australia, and they stole this vehicle while the people inside the house were still awake. They jumped into the other vehicle and they gave chase. They rammed into their own vehicle with their second vehicle. So they rammed this vehicle with their own vehicle, both their vehicles, and stopped this chase, pulled the guys out, told them in no uncertain terms that they shouldn't steal their shit, and this thing ended. But how many people, how many of us will actually do that? How many of us will actually deliberately drive into another vehicle? So you have to make sure that the pathways in your brains are set up correctly. So you have to give yourself permission to do that. So during phase one of this proposed or supposed attack, you can still use this thing as the best weapon you have. Phase two is when they now push you off the road and they close in on you and they start opening doors and they've boxed you in and you can't go. Now they start getting out. If I already have my gun in my hand, I've got the edge on them. If I don't have my gun in my hand, I need to start doing something. All right, what do I do? Once again, you're still in your weapon. You can still drive through them. You can still push them against their own vehicles. You can still use this thing as a weapon, or reverse, or get out of the side. Whatever you need to do, use this vehicle. But this has to be set patterns in your mind. Phase three, they've now debussed their own vehicle. They are now pulling guns and they are now walking towards your vehicle. The moment that you have muzzles on your car, the moment that you are in this situation, you are now on the back foot. Okay. You are now in a bad situation. Because the moment you've got muzzles on your vehicle, inside your car, is the moment that the next thing will happen. What will happen will be incoming fire. And for you as a civilian in a soft-skinned vehicle with no body armor, with no backup, with no drones in the air, with no choppers, you are now in a terrible situation. This is where you're going to die. Okay. So you don't want to be caught in that situation. Now, why then do we prep for fighting inside the vehicle? Why do we actually prep people for fighting? We've got a whole module about fighting inside the vehicle. Why is that? For that moment, because we never ever stop fighting. We never stop fighting until we stop breathing. That's the only time we stop fighting. Until then, we don't stop fighting. So even if I have 6, 7, 8 muzzles on my car, even if I am taking incoming fire, okay, I need to fight. I need to take the fight to the enemy. The moment I stop that fight, the moment I give up, is the moment I will lose. What are my chances? My chances of surviving in that scenario, 6, 7 guns with incoming fire, is slim. Let's not fool each other. But how do you want to go down? Do you want to go down fighting and maybe take 1 or 2 with him? Or maybe give yourself the opportunity, that little bit of a fighting chance? Or do you just want to give up? Right, I know what I want to do. So during phase 3 is when this thing goes from bad to worse, and even to worst. Okay. And this is now where my immediate action drills need to kick in. So if by then I haven't drawn my firearm yet, this is now the moment I will put my seatbelt, unclip the seatbelt, draw the firearm, start shooting, putting shots through the window, and then debus and get out of Dodge. Phase 4 is I am now in this fight. I'm now actively engaging from inside and outside the vehicle. This is now the worst situation of all. This thing has gone bad, sour. So I want to catch myself during the layered situation, or during the layered phases of this thing, from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3 to phase 4. You can apply the Cooper's color code again, from white to yellow to orange to red to black. Okay, it's the same thing. Layered defense, it's the same thing. The OODA loop, it's the same thing. It's going to play the OODA loop time and time again. So keep that in mind. Lastly, keep in mind that as a civilian, you are on your own. You're in a soft skin vehicle. You will only have your pistol with you, and hopefully you carry extra mags. Okay, doesn't matter where you carry your pistol, but hopefully you carry extra mags. And the only thing you can count on is yourself and your tactics. Right, now for clarity, during these 2 modules, level 1, we will only look at 1 up. In other words, 1 person in the vehicle, being me. I don't have my wife with me. I don't have my kids with me. I don't have friends, nobody else with me. It's just me. And we're breaking it down to that scenario. So if you start asking questions at this stage, but what about this? What about this? Stop. First, learn the basics. Learn the basics of what do I need to do? And then eventually we can start building on that. So that is the intro to this module, or these 2 modules. And I hope that will give you a good overview and make you think that you can prep and set up even before you need to set up. And that if you actually give yourself permission to use your vehicle, you can use your vehicle to your advantage. So let's jump into it, and let's start off with this module 11 on fighting inside the vehicle.